Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House for the 2023 season. Kevin, it's glad to have you with me once again.
Feels like ages since we've done one of these together, doesn't it?
It does. How have you been?
Yeah, all right. How about you?
Yeah, not bad.
Enjoyed Halifax.
Do you know what? Considering it's 21 years since we've been there, um, yeah, it's old school memories. I said on the fan reaction video that it should be a Super League stadium. It's much better than some of the efforts currently in Super League. And I suppose that is what IMG are there for, to allow teams like Halifax, who have got the infrastructure there, they just need to maybe add a little bit more onto the crowds, and you've pretty much got a ready-made base for a Super League club there.
Yeah. Has it got a covered away end?
It has, yeah.
All right.
A very vast covered away end as well, which Saints fans took a tremendous following. I think they sold 1,200 tickets in advance, but there probably were about 1,500 on the night. And it gave a Challenge Cup attendance that was higher than some of the old Super League ties.
Excellent. Great work. Great work from the Saints fans again, and great work from Halifax as well.
Okay, straight into it, Kev. And the only place to start is this man, Morgan Knowles. Now, given the fan reaction is called instant fan reaction for a reason,
Yep.
you will have seen me raging about Morgan Knowles' red card on Friday night. It was right in front of me, and I hit the record button probably 5 minutes later. And I was angry, very angry. Basically, because we're going to be missing one of our best players once again for the next few weeks. And it seems to have been something that has been echoed by Paul Wellens this week as well, Kev.
Yeah, it's one of those that obviously I wasn't at the game on Friday, so I've seen the highlights, the clips of it. It was just unnecessary, wasn't it? It was an unnecessary challenge to make at that point in the game. It's not as if we were frustrated because we were well in the lead. It's not as if it was against a big old enemy. And Paul Wellens is right to answer the questions from the journals who've asked him and put it in the press that players have got to take this responsibility now. But actions speak louder than words. And these players now have got to step up. Paul Wellens hasn't made that challenge, and I've seen a couple of people blaming him. Listen, he said himself that he's probably not been harsh enough or tough enough with the group. I'm hoping he's left them thinking in no uncertain terms that you can't do this for our club. Players play on the edge. I get that, and that's what we do with a will to win. But going over the edge in what I'm going to call a stupid moment, because that's what I see that challenge as. I know the play was dipping, but you're giving the referee a decision to make, a decision which I think he gets right.
Oh, absolutely.
And he sat down then for 2 weeks, meaning, and I know one of them was an international game, but he's been banned for 7 games in the past. Two that he's played. So he plays against Wigan, gets banned for 5. I know one's an international week. Then he comes back and gets banned for 2. There's other players. Peter was on about this when we did the Redvee TV show last week, and how having salary caps sat in the stands isn't good enough. And players have got to, when it comes to contracts being renewed, that he hopes they're spoken to about the discipline, because there's a few players who this unfortunately does kind of relate to, and Morgan Knowles now has got that label as one of those types of players. And listen, the hip drop, people will argue that left, right, and centre whether it was as bad as it was, but it's a challenge that needs out of the game. It's just the number of bans that are coming now you can't necessarily say that that reputation that he's getting is unwarranted.
No. And do you know what, Kev? When we say I was right in front of it, and it was one of those challenges that the whole crowd go, "Oh no," or gasp at the same time. I often see it, obviously watching the football. A player goes in and makes a really bad challenge, and the whole 40,000 crowd go, "Oh!" And it's like you've made the referee's decision for him because he's heard it.
Yeah.
As one, I was talking to a journo after the game, and he said to me, if he makes that challenge, Saints winning 8-6 or 10-6 with 20 seconds to go in a grand final, you go, all right, there's a reason. But it's game management.
Yeah.
You can see the clock. You can see when you're trundling back into the line to defend, you know it's the last set. You know you're winning 26 points to 6. There has to be a point where, as a collective, for a set, you ease off and think, even not ease off, but think, I'm not going to go and put anything high, and manage it yourself and be conscious of what you're doing.
Yeah. As you say, with 20 seconds left, listen, players won't like conceding tries, but you're not going to concede a 21-point try in the last 20 seconds, are you? It's not going to happen.
It wasn't even on the goal line as if they're going to go to score. The fella's all he's doing is about to like duck under and try and kick long.
Yeah, true. But still, as you say, it's one of those decisions that we've never played at the top level. So you don't necessarily completely understand how they think, gassed after 80 minutes. But you can still question it. You can still turn around and say, why are you doing it? There's no inherent danger to your win. Your win is in the bag. It's done. The other 79 minutes of the game, you've sorted that out. Don't worry about it. To make the challenge, and one of my things is, you see it, and I'll back Morgan Knowles in the fact that he is one of our best players. He is the best 13 in the league. And all these glib statements you see from people saying, get rid, he's a liability. Right? There's no time. I've no time for that at all. Absolutely no time for it. You do not get rid of one of your best players. You do not allow someone to learn from mistakes. You do not, it's not fancy rugby. But these are the same people who would probably get rid of the likes of Mark Percival, or would have got rid of Tommy Makinson or Alex Walmsley or Johnny Lomax years ago.
It's like Kev, it's like when somebody said about, oh, well, we've got James Bell instead. Well, as I put, why can't you have James Bell and Morgan Knowles? It's not one or the other.
Yeah, and that's what Paul Wellens has said as well. That's what Paul Wellens has said. He wants to see them in tandem because they complement each other. They both bring different facets of the game. I think we're probably tighter defensively when Morgan Knowles is on, but I almost, whether it's a bit biased, but I've noticed, or unconscious bias, sorry, I've noticed James Bell kind of taking the line and passing a little bit more, being that link-up play of a more traditional 13. Listen, he needs to learn. He does. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that. And you've got to put your trust in the fact that he will do, because missing him going in for Matty Lees at prop and bringing the same type of game that Matty Lees does, which is on the edge, which is kick chases, which is going in aggressively. We're now missing both of them for a big game.
Indeed. So, yes, we need to clean that area up and quickly. And hopefully Mr. Wellens has had words this week and the players left knowing on no uncertain terms what is expected of them. But, Kev, the reward for getting into the next round of the Cup is a trip to Hull FC. And obviously we're playing there away on the Thursday night the following week. And thankfully, the right decision has been made to make it the Saturday afternoon, so we're not travelling either on the Thursday or the Friday night for 2 consecutive weeks, and we can hopefully get a big crowd over there on the Saturday.
Yeah, that's what you'd hope for. Big crowd over there. Saturday afternoon, listen, people will decide to watch it on the telly. Absolutely no problem with that. But if people want to go, it probably gives them a little bit more chance to get over there, you'd say, traditionally. I know people work on Saturdays as well, but it's going to be a tough tie. Hull aren't going too badly at the moment. We have had, I think, a bit of a hold over them on the patch for a couple of years now, but just with the way that we aren't firing on all cylinders, I'd rather be playing at home than away.
What I would like to see, Kev, what percentage of ties have Saints played away in the Challenge Cup since the beginning of Super League? It seems like we play most of our Challenge Cup games away.
I don't know. Something to look into, isn't it?
Yeah, we will have that stat for next week.
Yeah, that's it. It's not necessarily it's not a conspiracy theory from you, is it, David?
No, not at all. I just think it's a stat. It just feels like we get drawn away more often than not.
Okay.
I'm not one of these people who put the tinfoil hat on and say the balls. Or you can guarantee whatever the draw is, 5 minutes later on Facebook, you're going to see it's a conspiracy. Warrington have drew Wigan. Well, there's only 8 teams in the draw. You've got a 1 in 7 chance of getting someone. There we go. Right. Moving on, Kev. Squads for this week then, as we travel to Leeds, who are billing this as the clash of the season. Well, it might be for them, but it ain't for us.
No, we've still got Wigan at home, haven't we? 3 changes. Obviously, Morgan Knowles suspended, so drops out. Stan Norman and Wes Bruins also drop out because we have James Roby, Curtis Sirenen, and Conrad Harrell back. There you go. 3 changes. Still a strong squad.
Some big decisions to be made on who misses out this week then as well.
Yeah, certainly. You've always got the wing debate. I know some people are still saying that they'd give Dodd a rest for a week or 2 as well. You've got second rowers coming out of your ears there. Do you stick with your going big men on the bench and Joey Lussick doesn't take part like he didn't at our last home game? So many decisions.
Is talk of when people say I'd leave Dodd out, is that the easy option to look like a great coach themselves because they know it's not actually going to happen?
Yeah, probably. It's almost like you get a tidal wave of it that someone says it and someone thinks it's a good idea, rather than letting a lad who's had a bad Achilles injury get his way back into the team and play under a different style, because it is slightly different how we're playing under Wello than we were under Christian Wolf. It takes, 12, 18 months to get fully over an Achilles injury. People have just got to give him time to get in there. But sometimes it's the Saints way that we have someone, build him up, but some quarters of supports, goes for all teams, but some quarters of supports will always knock him down.
I think this goes back to what you talked about earlier in the year when saying he's not, or let's not build him up to be prime Sean Long. And then I think he's become an easy target as well, because obviously there's the talk of going to the NRL, which, given the riches on offer over there, even if you go over as just a squad player, you can treble 4 times your wage. So you can't blame players for looking. But he seems a little bit, to me, to be getting the Kyle Eastman treatment from some of our fans. And I've certainly noticed it, especially at home games as well. When he makes a mistake or he puts a kick in that people don't like, there are fans now starting to boo. And I find that absolutely outrageous. I'm sure, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say Lewis has been performing his socks off, playing really well. He hasn't, and I'm sure he will say himself he's not playing maybe quite at the level he knows he can do or wants to do. But you don't know how much of it he's playing the game he's been told to play as well. And he's playing to a structure and being asked to do a role for the team. And fans booing have really short memories for this with this club sometimes. And I'm not here to say you don't boo your own players during a game. You rinse them completely on the fan reaction when they go and get themselves sent off with 20 seconds to go. When they deserve it. But booing players in game, what is that going to achieve? I really don't get it.
Yeah, nothing. He's got to be given time. He has got to be given time. And if that's a season, then it's a season. If he ends up going, he ends up going. But I get that people will be a little bit frustrated, probably because they know that he's a better player than he's shown. But yeah, I don't get booing during the game.
I also see the argument of when people are saying play Benison at fullback and Lomax and Wellesby in the halves, and you could argue that you do pick your squad based on the best available and what's best for the team, and people shouldn't be guaranteed a shirt. But given what he's come back from, I think you've got to go through this process if you want to get him back to the player he's going to be.
Completely agreed. Completely agreed. I've nothing more to add to that because that's my thoughts as well. You've got to go through the tough bit for him to come out the other side as good as he can do.
The other debate, obviously, I think you touched on it a little bit earlier about Joey Lussick or Jake Wingfield. Now, Jake Wingfield took the place on the bench against Salford, late notice, covered 9. He did it at Halifax last week when James Roby got rested and Lussick started. It'd be interesting to see what Paul Wellens goes with this week, whether he does go with Wingfield on the bench at 9 or whether Lussick's performance last week was good enough to get himself back and established on the benches as the second spell hooker. My thoughts on it, Kev, are potentially, it depends on how long you foresee James Roby playing in this game. If you see James Roby playing 70 minutes and you only need to spell him for 10, are you better going with Jake Wingfield, who can also cover the entire forward line, rather than going with Joey Lussick at the specialised hooker, who will only play at 9 for 10 minutes?
I love Jake Wingfield. I've said this before. I don't want to see him playing at 9. I don't want to see him there.
Even the 10 minutes to cover?
No. Okay. I would think it's a big risk for a 37-year-old who is absolutely knackered after playing 532 times for Saints to expect him to be able to do 70 minutes in a game, especially one that there is a big rivalry in, one that isn't I don't know, Wakefield at all type of game. I can see your point, and I can almost see it happening that Wingfield will be the bench option. But I'd hate for Roby to go down with an injury after 5 minutes and our 9 option be Jake Wingfield, because Jake Wingfield is an excellent prop, loose forward, sometimes second rower. He's a young lad with a lot of promise and potential, but a 9 he isn't.
I just don't want to see Jake Wingfield miss out on this squad at 17. I think he's, over the next couple of years, he's going to have a huge impact. Given we've got, obviously, players retiring, getting older. Potentially then, do you look at, in George Delaney's development, giving him a week off?
Yeah, possibly so. That's the one when I've gone through who I think will miss out. I've got, obviously, your prop, your second rower, and then 2 of 3 of Wingfield, Lussick and Delaney. And it might just be the fact that George did big minutes against Halifax. I know they're a level down, but he did big minutes against Halifax. Is this the week just to take him out and say, have a week off, George? Yeah. Don't know. I think people wouldn't want to see that because they love seeing him play. But for his development, is it a wise move? Potentially. I can't pick between two out of them. I think Wello will go with Lussick dropping out. I wouldn't personally, because I don't think that if we needed a hooker for 60, 70 minutes, that we've got another one even in that 21, other than Joey Lussick to step in.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Sam Royal to miss out, Ben Davies
Yeah.
to miss out, George Delaney to miss out as the 3.
Ooh, I've not. I've gone Royal, Benison, Lussick, and Delaney.
Where does Davies play then?
18th man.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll go Royal, Davies, Delaney to miss out, and Benison 18th man.
Yeah, I've just gone with Davies 18th man because he can play so many positions. And I know Benison gives you that option with moving Wellesby, or he can play wing or whatever, but I just think Ben Davies probably offers you that little bit more coverage in the forwards, because he could play second row as well as the backs.
Okay, Leeds squad then, Kev?
2 changes for them. Blake Austin and Sam Lissoni, I think you pronounce it, drop out, both with calf injuries. And Luke Hooley, who last time he played for Leeds, I think had an absolute Joe Cocker in the wind and rain and under the high bombs of Jordan Abdul at Hull KR. So watch out for him becoming Leeds' new Paul Wellens, really. And Leon Ruan, sorry if I've got that wrong, they both come in. Ash Hadley likely to be back. He missed last week. Bentley, they're missing quite a few. Bentley and Sinfield are both still following HIA protocols. Zayn Tetavano is suspended, and I've no idea. I take it he's injured, David Fusitua, but he's not in the squad either.
Interesting squad Leeds have got. They haven't really performed as they did towards the end of last season. Obviously, before the Challenge Cup, they beat Wigan 40-18, lost to Salford and Lee, won the 2 previous, Hull and Huddersfield, lost to Hull KR, which is no disgrace to, beat Catalan. You don't know what Leeds is going to turn up.
I would describe this as a matchup between 2 consistently inconsistent teams at the moment, even if that's results-wise rather than performances. As you look at our game that we played against them earlier this year, where the game was won with 10 minutes left and we end up losing it, just taking your foot off the gas. And as you rightly point out, they've had an amazing win at Wigan, where they were down to 12 men at 14-6 down and going absolutely banjo. They're a Bevan French bit of master play at fullback away from beating them in the cup as well, when Harry Newman and Richie Myler were through. But I think you put that down to Bevan French, the Bevan French dummy tackle. Not that I want to praise a Wiganer too much, but I think it's fair to at that point. And I think that you look at that squad, and sometimes you look at it and you think, there's not much there. There are not many big names there, but they don't have to be. They don't have to be. They just need a set of players who will consistently perform to a level. And I'm not entirely sure that either team has, but they have this season.
Obviously, big game for us in terms of 2 points. We'll see us 2 points behind Wigan or Hull KR, depending on their result tonight, with a game in hand as well. And all of a sudden, the season looks rosier.
It does. That's it. The game in hand's a big one. When we're going to fit that in, not entirely sure. But we're coming up to the halfway point in the season, and the table will start settling down soon. If we can put a little string of wins together, then the season will look a whole lot healthier, won't it? And that's what we've got to do. We've got to, and I know I keep saying this, I know I keep repeating myself, but get back to basics, respect the ball, respect field position, and earn your right to score tries. And if we do that, we'll be fine against the majority of teams, if not everybody. And it's what we've got to do. And we've just got to give teams something to think about. I think it was Don McCormack put it on Twitter last days of KR, saying that we just didn't look like we were giving teams stuff to think about. That's what we've got to do.
Before we go, it would be remiss of us not to mention Kyle Amor announcing his retirement from professional rugby league this week. I've picked this photo because the haircut and the beard together was absolutely genius. He was fundamental to a lot of our success over the last 5 or 6 years. Probably didn't always get the credit he deserved for the role he played in terms of being able to come off the bench as well.
Yeah, I've said this in the past about Saints packs, how somebody brings something different. And he came in at a time where we hadn't won Super League for a good couple of years. Well, probably 8 years, was it, that we hadn't won Super League for. He's come in and, as you say, been part of that pack that took us to a grand final win in 2014. He was consistent for us. You knew what you were going to get out of him. And that's it. He was fundamental is the right word to our success. And he's making a great career now out of being a pundit and a co-commentator. And good on him.
Yeah. There is still plenty of events that people can support through his testimonial year. I'm sure fans will keep getting behind him. Kevin, predictions for tomorrow night then?
I'm going to go Saints by 12. I'm not sure how, before we just go on, the women's game will go, but it's a double header at Headingley. 5:30 kickoff. Saints finished top of the Challenge Cup group after a 38 points to 4 win over Warrington. So I'm not sure how that one will go, but men's team win by 12.
Okay, I will go Saints by 8. A little bit lower than normal. Right, Kev, thank you very much for joining us. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and we will catch you at Headingley for the Redvee's Instant Fan Reaction. Catch you soon.